I can only stay quiet for so long. I can only be adaptive for so long. And then there is a point where I have to maintain grace and I have to maintain professionalism is not the word, but that's what's coming up for me. So forgive me for using that word, but it's not professionalism. Mindfulness, to stay in there because I am recognizing it's a long view game, and shoot the messenger, so you can come up with a perception about who the messenger is, and then it deflects someone from really getting the content or the message. So that was a body of work that I had to learn to do, so that before I left that space, I ended up speaking to the truth. So I spoke truth to power. So I guess what I'm saying is it's an inside outside. Come to the recognition of when it is better to err on being cautious, but speaking the truth to get the long haul result that I wanted, And then when I worked in banking, that was not the fit for me, the corporate banking. It was not the fit for me. And how I realized it, I the age of 32, I got shingles. Who gets shingles at 32? But it was this whole notion of you're trying to internalize because you're working, and it worked. I got 50 million in a community that no one was looking at. But it was like, whoa, it would come. So then you figure out where to position oneself. And I just say it just may not be the most satisfying response because we always want to show up authentically who we are at every table. I know. But we can't. We have to honor the table.
Hey, y'all. It's me again. Anasa Troutman. Welcome to the Big Weed Podcast. Woo! This is episode 3 of season 5. Yes, I have a really good friend in the pod today. Her name is Carla Dartis, and I love her. I can't wait for you to meet her. She's, one of those people who know things about things that you don't know about, and then you ask questions and they start talking, and you're like, wow, I didn't know any of that. Carla's one of those friends. She used to be in banking. Wow, she just knows all the number of things. So I'm happy for you to meet her. But before we go there, we have to do the pop 3. I feel like I'm saying this every week now, but I'm going to jump right in because our conversation was so rich that we spent a lot of time on the mic. So I don't want to keep you forever. I actually do want to keep you forever because I love you so much. But doesn't mean you want to be kept, does it? No. So let's get to it. All right. Pop 3. Our first pop 3 today is a new Broadway production called Pearly Victorious. Have you heard about Pearly Victorious? Now, let me tell you. Pearly Victorious really is kind of a relatively old story. It was written in 1961 by who? Ossie Davis. Now, if you're looking at me right now, like, who is Ossie Davis? And number 1, get it together. Number 2, go and Google. Ossie Davis was an incredible actor, writer, producer, husband. You know who he was married to? I'll wait. Ruby Dee. Come on, Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee. So if you are younger, you might know Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee from being in Spike Lee movies. So Gator's parents, Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee. If you don't know who Gator is, I don't got nothing for you. Okay, just go get it together and come back. Just press pause, go get your life, and then come back. Okay, very good. So Ossie Davis wrote this show called Pearly Victorious in 1961, and then the first time it was on Broadway was in 1970. But Kenny Leon, who's probably the most well-known and most successful Black director on Broadway today, has brought back a revival of Pearly Victorious, and it stars Leslie Odom Jr. Oh, what? King of Broadway himself. All right, so do y'all not know that name too? Fine, it's fine. I got you. Leslie Odom Jr. was in the original cast of Hamilton. He played Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr, sir. You know him? Yes. Yeah, got me? Okay, great. If you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. It's fine. Just go watch it. It's amazing. The songs will get in your body and they'll never let you go. Particularly the songs that he sings. So Leslie Odom Jr. is bringing back this amazing character that was originally played by Ossie Davis, because in addition to writing it, he starred in it on Broadway. Ruby Dee was in it, but instead of Ruby Dee, now we have Cara Young, who I didn't know about before, but getting rave reviews. Okay, Cara, you better. Now, what I will also say is it's been really, I've been watching, so like, because my sister is obsessed with Leslie Odom Jr., so our family has been really like obsessed with this show since they announced it. We already bought tickets. We're going in January. We're having a mother-daughter trip to New York to go to the theater. It's going to be so amazing. But in the meantime, my sister and I have been watching these weekly Instagram lives that Cara Young and Leslie Odom Jr. have been doing. And they've had all kind of incredible guests because, of course, every Black celebrity on God's green earth has been going to see this show, raving about it, talking about how impactful it is, talking about how current and relevant the storytelling still is, raving about Ossie Davis' writing, raving about Kenny Leon's directing, and of course, raving about the acting. So I will come back and tell you how it was, but we going, and I think you should go too. I think they just extended the run. It was supposed to be ending the first week in January, and I think now it's ending in February. So you have a few months to get yourself to New York if you haven't been able to do that yet. But Pearly Victorious is apparently the hottest ticket on Broadway right now. So go get you one, okay? So next, what are we gonna talk about? This is exciting. So I think maybe we talked about this a little bit last season because they were rumblings of it back then, but now we have a release date for Rustin. So Rustin is a film. It's coming out on Netflix. The release date is November 3rd, and it tells the story of Bayard Rustin, who honestly was like the most brilliant, impressive, important strategist for the civil rights movement. So if you think about the March on Washington, Bayard Rustin was the lead organizer for the March on Washington. If you think about King's work in general, like really Bayard Rustin was his primary strategist and the person that he was depending on to help him think through where the movement should go and how to make all these things happen. Now, the thing about Bayard Rustin is that his story has been kind of buried because he was queer. And so when you think about the 60s and this Black man who was doing this movement work for justice and he's queer. So you already know. We don't even have to have that conversation. So his story has not been told. And do you know who's playing Bayard Rustin? How excited are we? Coleman Domingo! You know how much I love him. Coleman Domingo is like legit one of the best actors in Hollywood right now. He is incredible. And he is very excited to bring this story to life. So who else is in this movie? There are other people who are in this movie too. Let me look at my notes. 1 second. Yes. So, yes. All right. So Coleman Domingo plays Bayard Rustin. Chris Rock plays Roy Wilkins. I'm not sure how we're feeling about Chris Rock, but he's in the movie, so we're going to celebrate it. Okay, great. Glenn Turman is in this movie. He plays A. Philip Randolph. That's exciting. And Audra McDonald plays Ella Baker. Y'all know Ella Baker is one of my favorite women in all of history. And Audra McDonald's amazing. So I'm just very excited about this movie. Again, it comes out on Netflix. I'll be watching it the first night it comes out. I'll let you know what I think. I hope you let me know what you think. But pay attention because it's really important storytelling, really important point of view that we haven't seen before. Really, really, really important person who we have not really dug into his story. So let's make sure we all watch Rustin and support Coleman Domingo, our favorite. Okay, great. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is really terrible because I don't even know all the things about it, but I just couldn't not talk about it because it's about to be Christmas, a little bit early, but still, it's Christmas time. And Brandy, not only is she putting out a Christmas movie, but she's putting out a Christmas album. These are things that the people want to know about, okay? So we're going to find out all the deets. We're going to put them up on the Instagrams for you and send them out in the text message. If you're not signed up for the text, make sure you sign up for the text. The number is 901-676-7372. And we will text you the information about Brandy's Christmas activities But there will be an album. There will be I think it's a Hallmark movie, actually. It doesn't matter where it is. We're going to go watch it because it's Brandy, because it's Christmas, and she's going to sing her face off like every other time, and we're going to love it. So see you there. Merry Christmas. All right. So let's get into this conversation with Carla Dartis. Carla is the executive director of the Movement Strategy Center. She's a former investment banker and all kinds of other wonderful things that she's going to tell us all about in this interview. First of all, y'all, I want to introduce to you my very, very, very good friend, Carla Dartis. Carla, hey.
Hi, Anasa.
Welcome to Memphis.
Oh my God, I'm so thrilled. My heart's so full. Thank you. Thank you for restoring that wonderful clay burn temple. And thank you for doing it at a time where I can be here with you.
I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy you're here. So we're having a huge event tonight at Claiborne Temple. For y'all who know, I talk about Claiborne all the time. That is my trusty. I've never wanted to show me where it's my first time. And Carla came in for our event. We're celebrating the end of phase 2, talking about the vision for phase 3 for the interior. And I'm so grateful that you would come all this way for this. It's really special.
Where would I be? Where else would I be? This is just extraordinary that you brought this to life.
Yeah.
And with the kind of thoughtfulness and the integration of the past to the present to the future. Oh, and Nasa, no, thank you. And on behalf of every citizen in Memphis, thank you. Thank you.
Some of them are happy. Some of them maybe not so much. But we love them too.
That's right.
That's all right.
That's right. That's
so,
right.
Carla,
That's right.
introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh, okay.
Who are you?
Okay. Hello, you beautiful people out there. I'm Carla Dartis. And I, first of all, am a sister, am a mother, am an auntie, a niece, and a daughter. And I'm a mom as well.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am. And I reside in Oakland, California.
Woo, woo.
Woo, 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 woo. And I get to have the privilege, and it is a deep privilege, of working with some extraordinary folks at this organization that is called Movement Strategy Center.
Yep.
And it is so much about love and justice for our communities and really being at the crossroads of all those inequities and intersectional issues that, you know, have hampered, that have harmed, and trying to accelerate and cultivate and bring resources to our communities to help transform and to transform our power, you know? So that's my daytime job, Movement Strategy Center. And I'm very grateful to be in relationship, and particularly with you and the extraordinary work that you do with the Big We Foundation and how your own journey, quite frankly, of transformation and cultural strategy has really led a way for Movement Strategy Center and all the movements that this organization touched.
Carla.
You know, that's true. No, it's true. When you got on that call with our staff, you know, we brought that wellness initiative.
I forgot we did that.
Yes, we did do that. And when you got on that call and you were really speaking about what love looks like and what it looks like to cause transformational change in oneself and throughout, staff members so resonated with that. And they all kept saying, I want more of that Anasa. Oh my God, I'm beginning to get it. And so when I say that I'm working with an extraordinary group of people, I am meaning you and Taj James and, oh my God, Judith LeBlanc and the Tomas Garduño. I mean, it just goes on and on,
people.
Right? You know,
it's funny, like having you sit here because I'm going back in my mind to my history with MSC. Because it is so long. My history with MSC goes all the way back to 2009. And MSC is like one of the most important organizations in the history of my own work for so many reasons. But I was a fellow at MSC. Like I was the first senior fellow ever at MSC. I was there for 3 years, and this body of work around cultural strategy, I built it at Movement Strategy Center. I would be nothing without MSC. And I came back 10 years later to be on the board, and we hired you. And MSC is fiscal sponsor for the Big We Foundation. And like everything that we do, every dollar we raise, every program we do, every contract I have to sign goes across your desk. And like, even when I don't see you or don't talk to you, you're a part of my literal everyday life. And the organization that you're running is foundational to the work that we're doing at the foundation across the whole country, not just here in Memphis and across the South, but everywhere we go, we take you with us. And it's been really wonderful to get to know you and to learn from you. And like, I feel like I've only like scratched the surface of what you know and what you've experienced in your life and in your own work. And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because I'm like, I want to dig a little deeper with you. I have like 1,000 questions for you. We're only going to ask a few because we don't have time. But I'm curious about you. You're like such an interesting, just even for the past 5 minutes just watching you talk, I'm like, what is all of that in you? You have such an animated way of speaking that feels really genuine and spirit driven. It's like, that's just who you are.
It is.
You know? And I'm wondering, like, have you always been like that? Like, were you little and people were like, look at her. Look at that baby go.
No. So you know what, Anasa?
What?
It would have been after my Annie E. Casey Foundation Fellowship. I did this leadership development fellowship. So I would say that this intentional cultivation into spirit is something that for me was a path that I started in 1999 and then just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper in that for quite a few years. And it blew me away when the opportunity of Movement Strategy Center emerged. Because it's the only experience that I am intentionally in where mind, spirit, body, and heart is intentionally centered and connected. And so, you know my story that I was cultivated to be a nun, and that was like in this place of service. I am a woman of faith, and God's grace, which is what I call eternal love, is something I'm so grateful to be able to lean into and to lean on, and hopefully, and I always make this prayer: God, help me get out of my way, please, so I can hear and be an instrument. And I keep saying this to the team all the time, folks. We are works in progress. And it is such an honor and a pleasure to be on the journey together. But when you see this animation, I'm just not apologizing for it anymore.
That's right.
What I will tell people before they get to know me, I say, well, I'm a little quirky. That's how I'll describe it, because I do recognize it might be a unique thing to see and to behold.
I don't hold it as quirky at all. That's not a word I would ever use to describe you. To me, it's more like alive. Like you are one of the most alive people I know. I never think of it as like off-putting or weird or nothing like that. I'm just like energized by you every time I'm in the same space with you. It's infectious. It's amazing. It makes me want to be like,
But that's what you give off though, Anasa. Okay, thank you. Because all that means is that I'm reflecting back the energy. That's why I hugged you in the way I did when I saw you this morning. Like, oh my God, it feeds,
I love that.
And and that's like real work to like really cultivate, pay attention to that, and then to bring it in an organizational setting. That's real
we could have 2 episodes about that, Carla, because that is one of the things that I really am working with, especially right now. We were talking earlier about some of the challenges I'm having as a leader. And this, one, just the work you have to do just to be your whole self on planet Earth at all, no matter what your family or your work context is. Just like, if you live, maybe not for everybody, but if you lived in a Western context, if you're born and raised in America at least, the spiritual and emotional work you have to do to feel comfortable and free enough to be your whole self all the time is like grueling. But then when you like go into a corporate space, which even if you work at a nonprofit is still a corporation, and there's a certain level of expectation around decorum or respectability or order or whatever it is, right? And it's like the way that we think about like America or the United States of America in particular. If you walk into a corporation, it's like 100 times concentrated. It's like the expectation, especially if you're the leader, there's like a thing that you're supposed to be, a thing that you're supposed to do that is completely the opposite of my natural way of being. And so like learning how to build and navigate organizational culture that is in alignment with who I actually am as a being and as a person who's committed to love, and to your point, as a sister and a niece and a daughter and all those things, it is no easy task. It is not an easy task. And the ways that are traditional in terms of like, even like having a board and the way you're supposed to be with the board, like all the ways you're supposed to communicate, the things you're supposed to say, the things you're not supposed to say, all of those things that are like traditional corporate things are not at all things that feel aligned with my values or my way of being or my personality even, you know what I mean? How have you, because you've been in some very, very, I mean, what I got going on is nothing compared to the corporate spaces that you've been in. What is that like? Hello, my name is Anasa Troutman and I am the founder and executive director of the Big We Foundation. Cultural strategy is the key to creating the world we want to live in. We believe that a well culture can give rise to well people, well policies, well communities, and well practices. Join the Big We community built on the culture of love. Together, we learn how to be in the practice of love. To be a part of this love movement, subscribe now. And don't forget to join our email list by clicking the link in the video description below.
That's an excellent question. And not sure you're going to like and love the answer because I find that I am the one that has to adapt.
Yeah.
Because I try to keep my eye on the prize. Yeah. Which is I want to be in the environment. I want to be at the table. Yep. To be of support. Yeah. If I'm not at the table, then I can't bring any influence. Yeah. And so there are times when I just have to agree to myself, okay, this is a long view game, not a short term one. So there are times when I have to be mindful of what I say, how I say it. And it may mean that, ooh, what is that saying? Pick your battles. Yes. On this one, we'll let it slide. Yeah. There's certain things I'll say in a group context, or there's certain things I'll say in the one-on-one. So it's like that strategy piece. And then there's a cost. And then there's a cost. Like I think back, Anasa, I think back to some work I was doing in human trafficking. Yeah. And that work was really important to me particularly because of the place, which was Alameda County, which is where Oakland is located. Yeah. That I saw it was women and girls that looked like me that was most impacted. And so it became personal, and I wanted to stay in the work to bring a lens of trauma-informed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I worked with the leadership, of course, did not look like me, right? And but it was important that I had to hang in there, but it was at a big cost. Yeah. And so there's an insight that I have now learned. I can only stay quiet for so long. I can only be adaptive for so long. And then there is a point where I have to maintain grace and I have to maintain, professionalism is not the word, but that's what's coming up for me. So forgive me for using that word, but it's not professionalism. Mindfulness, to stay in there because I am recognizing it's a long view game. And, shoot the messenger. So you can come up with a perception about who the messenger is, and then it deflects someone from really getting the content or the message. Yeah. So that was a body of work that I had to learn to do so that before I left that space, I ended up speaking to the truth. So I spoke truth to power. So I guess what I'm saying is it's an inside outside. Come to the recognition of when it is better to err on being cautious, but speaking the truth to get the long haul result that I wanted, you know? And then when I worked in banking, that was not the fit for me, the corporate banking. It was not the fit for me. And how I realized it, I the age of 32, I got shingles. Who gets shingles at 32? Whoa. But it was this whole notion of you're trying to internalize because you're working, and it worked. I got $50 million in a community that no one was looking at. But it was like, whoa, it would cost. Yeah. So then you figure out where to position oneself. Yeah. And I just say it's just may not be the most satisfying response because we always want to show up authentically who we are at every table.
I know.
But we can't. We have to honor the tables, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's why I love you, because I'm telling you, I get that from you. Oh my God. And I get that from that beautiful board that I support and that supports me.
This is what you were talking about is resonating with me so deeply because this year, this 2023 has been a year of acceleration for our work. And I find myself...
I'm so proud of Anasa and Big We and She Electricity. I'm so proud.
I find myself in bigger and bigger rooms. And when I say bigger and bigger, I mean like rooms where more and more money is being discussed. And for a couple months, I was like incredibly depressed and sad because the bigger the room I was in, the more egregious the racism, sexism, blah, 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 blah. And I just would be like, even in the rooms where people were like, we're talking about scaled capital for transformation. And they would still be on some really terrible, destructive, awful, violent, whatever. And one, it was like very disheartening for me to think like, oh, the people who are moving billions of dollars, they're moving the billions of dollars in the service of something that I don't actually believe in. Do they have me in this room because they think I can help and they just don't know what they're doing? Or do they have me in this room to be like, see, we invited this Black woman in here. See, we're doing the right thing. And I had to negotiate with myself, like when you say the thing and when you don't say the thing, when you don't say the thing but you stay in the room, and when you don't say the thing and you leave the room, when you say everything real loud and knock everything out on your way out the door. And there's no rule.
There's no rule.
There's no rule.
No.
And the question is really your question, which is like, how long do I need to stay in this room to get the thing done? And my goal became to get the thing done and not leave with everybody feeling healed and whole, right? Which is like weird for me. Yeah, I understand. It's weird, but I hear you.
You know what, Anasa? I love what you just said. Healing and whole. Mm-hmm. Well, one can only be healed and whole if one wants to be healed.
Listen.
Right?
Yes.
Right? So while you want to do that might not be what folks are inviting.
And that's what I'm learning.
So like and that's a hard lesson for me to get.
Awful. It's awful.
That's a hard lesson. So it's like, okay.
It's awful.
You know, because then I got to think about myself like,
in
this moment, do I really want to be healed or whole?
Yeah.
Or do I just sort of want to be enabled to stay stuck? Right? Like, for real. So then it's like, how do I still be an instrument? And so I appreciate what you're saying right now. But there isn't any rule. It is about this notion of adapting to fit it and just being goal-oriented or purpose-oriented, right? Yeah. And then there's this other thing, which is so hard for me, Anasa. It really is. It's humility. It's like, wow, okay, I have got to try to find the humility to empathize and not think the worst. Because my ego wants to say, no, you're stuck like that because you want this or you want that, versus maybe they really don't know. Or is there space that if I can introduce or be in relationship, can I shift it? And then it's a trip when you see it shifts, because the shift happens.
It does happen.
The shift happens. Yes.
Because every once in a while, somebody actually does want to be healed and whole.
Yes, because they do, you know?
Do.
And then to see that, wow, someone can hold space with me.
Whoa. Juicy.
You know? That's why I just love this transformative work, you know, that you've helped to pioneer, that really is speaking to like the value of being in relationship with. Because you can't move, if you're not in relationship. Can't accept, can't invite, can't hold, can't share. You know?
Yeah.
But when you talk about money, when you begin to talk about the concept of money, which at its core is not valuing people, it's valuing money, then of course we just hit this sort of cataclysmic little piece and just have to stay on it.
Yeah, that's the conversation we've been having this season, really, is that intersection right there. It's like, what happens when financial resource and community resource bump up against each other, and really in this conversation about Black abundance, and what does that even look like? What do we mean by it, and how do we get there? And I don't think that we can get there without talking about these large financial institutions and investments and all of the stuff that you know that are part of your story.
Right.
And I just would love to hear, based on what you know and what you see right now.
Okay.
It's like, what is community wealth building, and how do we even do it? Is it an actual possibility, or are we all just, what is it going to take?
You know, I absolutely think it's possible. And I think the proof of what you're doing in your organization, in terms of the cultural assets, creating housing and creating wealth within that for community, is the proof of that.
Yeah.
What is it going to take? What is it going to take? You know, right? It's this massive, you know, mindset, this shift, because we've certainly been about the alleviation of poverty since the Great War on poverty.
That's right.
We've so been about this business. When I think about Dr. King and the People's Campaign. But I even think you know the answer to that. Is like, it's we just can't give up. What I know is we can't give up. Number two, what I know is that we must educate. We must educate, no matter how uncomfortable it is, to understand around maybe not the numbers per se, but financial economic concepts. We must educate.
How do we do that?
You know, and then,
because you know what, Carla, when I first started doing this, and even before that, just thinking about my own life and just wanting to make sure that I don't not have what I need, is I like have tried many, many times just to be like, I just need a one-on-one financial education. Somebody, how do I learn about this without going to get a degree in economics? And it's really hard to find accessible information about economics and finance. So where do you even start when you want to educate yourself about what that looks like? Right.
Because I'm just going to say something. Because if you're somehow already kind of hooked in financial, that paradigm, then you kind of know, like you can go talk to a financial planner.
Right.
You can sit down and talk to your banker. You could go into a credit union, right? But you have to be initially hooked into that, you know. And to me, that is where I'm blessed, because I grew up in the city of Compton. And I did my work in South Los Angeles. And so I had African American owned bankers, like Broadway, Federal. You know what I'm saying? Like I had Black people that I trusted, that I could go in there and literally say, you know, I'm 19 years old, and I could see right now I could totally mess up my credit. Oh, I could get on a path. Could you spend a little time with me, Mr. Hudson? And so he's like, and then, well, what happens when you don't get a face that looks like you? Because you and I both know you first kind of give a pass, and then you have to work with someone, and then you know if you can really trust them. And so I think about, okay, there's now all of these different apps on phones. Don't give them your information, but be very curious about that. There's all these other nonprofit organizations, like I love Taj. I do. I think of like Full Spectrum Capital. That's really about, hey, let me educate people about the difference between equity and debt and how do you connect and or Justice Capital, Christine Hollenbeck, another extraordinary person, another extraordinary person.
Very.
Or I think about, oh my God. I think about the people that's down there in Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw. Now it's Crenshaw Rising and they're doing all this work. And it really is about sharing, just educate. And then finding and cultivating allies. When I think about like a lot of those, programs to help young people understand financial literacy and adults, I do think that it's the ally. It's who's bringing the message, and then just understanding that it's a journey. And no, you don't have to get a degree in it.
Yeah.
And you take it into piecemeal places, but you better believe that is a piece of information that is highly guarded because it's understood that if you have the knowledge, you can make different decisions about how you make yourself vulnerable or how do you make yourself less vulnerable. Therefore, how do you make yourself less vulnerable for being exploited? So it's guarded. And so, God, it sounds like I'm brown nosing, but I'm not. That's what I love also about She Electricity and that restorative economics piece that you have, which is about bringing to young women now some language, some understanding. I think that's the work that we have to continue to do.
Yeah.
It hurts me though when I see that there's whole communities that do not have lights like that.
Yeah.
That don't. And so then that's when I go to these different things and trying to figure out, okay, how do I bring Movement Strategy Center as an incubator and a cultivator to places where there are these incredible social entrepreneurs to say, we can backstop you. We can help you move. We can help you grow.
Yeah.
Because, you cannot understate the need for that kind of authenticity and that kind of inclusiveness and diversity of all those folks understanding those concepts. Because, the capitalistic systems that we have, they're not about democracy. They're not about broadening that content and language. But groups like yourself I never pledged a sorority, but you see all these sororities and fraternities that are people of color that are creating these different avenues of how do I educate? How do I tap in? So I think that's so important. And then I just want to say something else.
Yeah, please.
There's like these affinity groups, because a lot of Black folks in banking systems, they catch hell.
Listen.
Just like a lot of Black folks in philanthropy, they catch hell.
That's right.
Because they're seeing their role as, I'm not just here to make a living for me. I'm here for my community.
Yeah.
And even though folks are catching hell, folks are continuing to move. So looking at, different affinity groups, I just think it's a little bit of research. No, I think it's a lot of research. And then it is around the connecting of relationships. Yeah. And then finding the allies that you can hear that can take you through a journey of learning and knowledge. And it looks different along the way. I've just been so blessed. I think about my brother who since passed away, Hazem Rashid, who was an economics person out of Stanford. And this is a brother from Alabama. And he's like training, teaching, and being the economic development advisor across the country, and particularly in the rural South, where Black folks weren't getting diddly squat, or even in the Midwest, right? And just being lucky enough to discover him and saying, okay, and then get the job to pay for the training. So for 3.5 years, and then, our relationship. My point is, having allies that have that content knowledge that you can be in relationship with, that you can be in a journey of knowledge. And then test it. And then don't beat yourself up when you fail. Yeah. Because thank God for the failures. Yeah. Don't beat yourself up. Like, woo, Yeah.
It's almost impossible not to fail at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know I have failed.
Oh, I know I have too. We can compare notes.
But it's been like such an important learning because I don't consider myself fiscally minded at all. And yet, the thing that we've built is all about the intersection of culture and economics, because I don't see how we're going to get out of this any other way. I don't see how we're going to make the leap into the future that we're imagining for ourselves without being able to have a handle on finance and economics. You can't talk about abundance. And I know like abundance is way more than just money.
Yeah.
But having the financial abundance allows everything else to shift. Mm-hmm. It allows you to go and change literally every single conversation. And it felt like really irresponsible for me at some point to not feel like I had at least a cursory handle on whatever the things were that we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard.
And you're right. You are going to have, because you know there are other areas where you are an expert in.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And so it is about the team. It's about a team, a community. It's about a community. That's the word I'm looking for. It's about a community that then supports, and then you identify a team from there. That's the other big lesson. And you know, that's real about capitalism. Because when you really, to me, when you analyze all this stuff, the reason why you're so fierce, you're so big in terms of capitalism, you have a whole team backing you up.
Legit.
You're recognizing that the systems that have been created, they do require compartmentalized and expert knowledge and content. And so the notion of thinking you have to know it all is a setup.
That's right.
They make it seem, or we can conclude that by saying, oh, that looks so simple. They must know it all. No. No. You know what, Nasa? I was raised from the city of Compton, right down. And so one of our, got to be an adult and was doing economic development. Girl, one of our very first real estate projects was a 48-unit apartment building that had on-site childcare. And the women, and it was mostly women that designed this thing, kick butt, you know what I'm saying, did the whole thing. And I inherited, because it was already built now. Now I had to like manage it and then get the other 22 houses built. And because those women made it look so easy, I had this whole silly narrative in my head that I had to know everything. I had to understand XYZ. What I had to know was, okay, how do I identify the talent?
Yeah, that's right.
How do I partner with the talent?
Yeah.
How do I manage the talent?
Yeah.
That's what I needed to know, right? Not the content pieces. And then that's where, trusting your authentic self. Well, what do you know? What have you come to Carla, what have you come to understand what accountability looks like?
Girl.
What have you, Carla, come to understand what appropriateness looks like?
Yeah.
Now, Carla, isn't it supposed to look that same way in a professional relationship? Not just in your personal? So then, because girl, I would give people passes on that. And then it would be coming back to, wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And you know what, Anasa?
Yes.
Sexism is alive and well.
Wow.
Because it's a different lens.
It's deep.
I can only imagine. Well, I remember I'll just talk about, oh, you little girl. Oh, child. And I'm like, so I used to do this thing, Anasa. I'm like, okay. I had this one dude to call me out on it. You playing Columbo. You remember Peter Falk?
Yes.
You playing Columbo. And then you come back, boom. I'm like, Because now you're expecting, so I'm going to have to play with you. And in the meantime, my posse, as I would call them, my team, my community, I'm going back and discussing this or that.
Right.
And they're helping me to, so you're right.
I'm
playing
back in the
Columbo.
room. That's right. That's right. You know what? I'm really happy that you were able to do that, and I'm sorry that you had to, because you deserve better than that.
But
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. And then that's where, oh girl, I got some stories for you.
I bet.
But we won't do this now. But
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. And we may not deserve it, and that stuff just happens. Yeah, it happens. They come at you, you know?
You know, I've been in this conversation lately because, there's like, all these people walking around like, I don't have worth, my self-worth, and this, that, and the other. And I'm discovering that your life experience is not commensurate to your value as a human being. Like, there is no such thing as like whether you got what you deserve or like what, that's not real. It's like your life path is your life path, and you interact with the experiences that you interact with, but they're not because you weren't worthy or you were. It just is what it is.
What it is. Yeah.
And I'm like trying to get people to abandon the conversation about worthiness. Like, that's not real. There's so many people who have gotten things, and it wasn't because they were worthy of it. I could name names, but I don't need to. You know, all the people who have all the things that they don't deserve, and all the people who have experienced like horrible, horrible things because it's not real.
No.
Your life is just your life. Your path is your path, and you are, your obstacles are just yours to navigate.
That's all.
In whatever way you can.
That's all.
It is. I want to make a little bit of a pivot. I'm so tempted to talk to you about this nun situation because I have like, we're going to talk about it later.
Okay.
But I really am like, don't do it, because I'm fascinated by nuns. I at one point was like decided I was going to be a nun.
Oh my goodness.
And that's like a secret. That's like a Easter egg, a Nostradamus Easter egg. Is one time I thought I was going to be a nun. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not even Catholic. Whatever. I don't know. I never have been. But still, one of the things that I am so fascinated by when I've like heard different parts of your story is like your connection and your family's connection to music and to culture.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like I heard you say one time that y'all were associated at some point with the Church of John Coltrane.
Yes.
I am obsessed.
Yes.
I want to hear all about it.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So first of all, the love of music has just been alive and well in my family. And I just remember hearing, didn't matter if it was bluegrass, didn't matter if it was zydeco, didn't matter if it was just traditional jazz, did not matter if it was classical, just hearing music as a little kid, just always. But my brother got the piano lessons. I didn't get the piano lessons. And it was because of those, it was a gender thing.
Of course.
It was a gender-based.
I figured.
Yeah.
You forgive your parents, kind of.
Totally. You forgive them. You love them. Why are you kidding? And that music just stayed in my heart because, man, it would help me release things. Aside from just the joy that it brings, it's medicine. It was medicine. So it helped to release things. And then when I got married, and it was not my intention, because I thought, what would I have in common with a musician? I mean, truly, what would I have in common? I'm kind of this nerdy person, like, what? And I always thought musicians are so cool. But as it would have it, I got married to a nerdy musician. You know, it came together. And he and the Church of John Coltrane. So in San Francisco, there is this beautiful church made up of this beautiful, beautiful African-American family who, when they heard Love Supreme, knew that that was more than music. That was a direct expression of grace. That was a direct expression of how love transforms. And so literally building a church and a church community and building a praise service that is all built around Love Supreme.
Wow.
Yes, I kid you not. And so my husband, as a pianist, would be playing this stuff and, oh my God, then the horns are coming out, then the drum beats are coming out, and the tears would fall. Because, of course, there was spoken word from the Bible, but it was what John Coltrane brought forward, right? It's like with Rumi. It's like you know, Rumi the poet with the dance and the it's the grace. It's like what you're doing. I keep saying, I got to keep bringing it back. You're bringing art. That's a form of grace, transformative power and love. Oh my God. So anyway, the Church of John Coltrane, And I just want you to know it is a labor of love because that's really been hard.
And y'all are still involved.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And then, last year they did year before last, they did a wonderful thing at the Smithsonian.
Oh.
I mean, it's just incredible. But, it's hard to sustain that. And so it's sustained by volunteers and donations, and people come. And Anasa, it blows you away. Like when you're sitting in this, in the church.
Yeah.
You see people that are coming, there's not like a paid membership. It's not that. I mean, okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. But it is people coming in from off the street.
Yeah.
It is people of all walks. And you know what? It really is laying their burden down. It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh my God. Yes.
We all need someplace like that.
We do.
And I feel like there's so many people. It's been interesting because I live in the South. I've lived in the South for a long time, and I know as an organizer, you cannot do political organizing without Black church. Like you can't be afraid to go into a religious space. But so many people who do this work have been harmed by their church experience, and they don't have their connection to religion has been broken, and sometimes it keeps them from their connection to their spirit at all, which is that don't work. And it's been fascinating to me to watch the people who can't go in those spaces, especially because I bought a church. Really think a lot about how do you build all of those things that you go to church for, all of the ways to reconnect, all the ways to connect to other people, all the ways to heal and express and vision and all those things, redemption, all of those things in a secular space. And but I mean, I don't see how the answer is anything but music and art.
Exactly.
Because when I first started this work, I was like, I have to do this because for me, being a creative is the closest you can get to God. It's the closest you can get to your own divinity, and the universal divinity is by being in a state of imagining and creating all the time. And it's like, that's how I tap into my divinity and how I can get all my divine inspirations by writing or whatever, or listening to Stevie Wonder or whoever, or Love Supreme. How many hours have I spent listening to Love Supreme, for God's sake? And you feel connected to the planet and to God and to other people and to yourself in a way that doesn't happen. For me, first time I ever got the Holy Ghost was on the dance floor. For real. And I was like, oh, that's what that is. Oh,
it transports
because it transports you, and it makes you let go of whatever the earthbound things are, and it makes you actually see that there is something more. Because you can feel it. It's undeniable, and it takes you away. And it's, and it's interesting to me to think about you and all of the things that you are in the world, and how transformative music and art have been in your own life, even as you're navigating all these spaces. When you were talking earlier, I'm like, I wonder how Carla sustains her own vitality. And I'm like, oh, duh, music.
It really is. It's the music.
It's the music.
Thank you for just naming what I'm hearing, which is so oftentimes organized religion that is so dogma-centered creates harm.
Yes.
Creates harm, which is one of the reasons why I did not become a nut.
That's right.
I picked that up, I understood, and I went, that's counter to the service I want to be in the world. And thank you for naming the elements that transcends all of that. Yeah. And so it's amazing that you would think, because that's the best example, the Church of John Coltrane, because it is not dogma-centered. Right. It is this music that causes people to lay their burden down, thank you for naming it.
It's hard to lay your burdens down. It's really hard, especially when you're in a space where you are made to be wrong or whatever. all the stories, right? Othered in whatever way it is. And it had always been, because I didn't grow up going to church. I didn't start to go to church until I was like 9 years old. So I had a different perspective of Jesus and church and pastors. I was just like, that don't seem right. Like the things that you're saying doesn't seem right to me. And I remember like when I turned 16 and we had a new pastor in our church, and his first sermon was about how there was a woman who had been in church her whole life and she passed. And her daughter had converted to Islam and came back to him and said, my mother is passed and I would love for you to do her service. And he almost told her no. And he said, but then I remembered that Jesus said to love your enemy. And then I decided to do the funeral, saying that like this woman had become his enemy because she had decided to choose another path. And as committed as I was, and as much as I loved being in the church, and as much as the lessons and the spirit of Jesus resonated with me, that felt like an absolute violation of the things I had learned about Christ. Absolutely. And I just was like, I can't go to church. Like I can't be in this space if that's how you're going to hold the word. And so many folks have had experiences like that and have found themselves floating out in the world and not having a spiritual center. And this idea that we can engage in our creativity and our imagination to reimagine what spiritual space looks like and what connection looks like and what joy looks like and like what the Holy Ghost looks like.
Exactly.
You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
I do.
I feel like it's revolutionary
Yes.
and necessary
Yes.
in order for us to achieve the abundance that we speak of. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know like what else you're listening to. Like, are there things that you're like, you got to listen to this right here? Because if you don't, you are missing out.
Okay, so
Yes.
I hate to admit this.
Okay.
I just got introduced maybe 5 months ago to a spoken word artist named Sekou Andrews.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I say I hate to admit this is because he has been a spoken word artist that's been recording for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Right. I know.
We're all very late.
I know.
We apologize,
So,
Mr. Andrews.
Yeah, so late to the game. To the game. I had the opportunity of, this blew me away, of going to an event that Celeste Prince, that's her name, and Sekou Andrews produced called The Lightning Machine. Oh. And the lightning machine is this metaphor for who we all are, right?
Oh, wow.
That, lightning hits the planet every few seconds in all of these different spaces concurrently. And we are lightning. We can create.
Wow.
We can create. And so
I like this.
Isn't that a oh my God.
I like it.
This gentleman created this event, he and Celeste, and they brought together frontline activists. They brought together progressive donors. They brought together celebrities just to learn and share with each other and to be encouraged by each other. It was just truly a moment of inspiration. So then when this was happening, well, what do? I'm like, well, who the heck is this Andrews? And so for real, go on Spotify, go on Apple Music.
Yeah.
I began to uncover the collection of words and music. Then I come to find, I'm telling you, just so late to the game. Then I come to find out that his album, his spoken word album, was nominated the same time when Michelle Obama's album, and so he lost out.
He wasn't going to win that one.
He was not going to win that one. But just extraordinary.
Yeah.
The other thing is, what's his name? Aloe, the gentleman that says
Aloe Black?
Yes. I am rediscovering Aloe Black and loving his work as well. So yeah, I invite that. And then in terms of what I'm reading right now, it's an old book that's been out, but Heather McGhee's The Sum of Us All, which is like really,
I love that title.
But you know what that book is all about?
No.
The cost of racism. The book is about what is the cost of racism to all of us. It's just not in anyone's interest.
No.
And so I'm really enjoying that.
It sucks bad
one.
for everybody.
Yeah.
For everybody. Okay.
And then there's a video that I saw. See, you shouldn't have asked me this question.
This is why we asked. We want to know.
a YouTube channel, and I've discovered this wonderful woman named Dr. Yaba Blay.
Oh,
Yaba! The professional Black girl. And
she's brilliant.
Me. It gives me so much joy.
I love her. We love her.
And so if folks have not, met or read any of Dr. Blay's writings or seen their work, I really encourage you to do that.
She's amazing.
Brings such joy and such affirmation. Oh my God.
I myself am a member of her Patreon.
Are you?
So I get extra little things that other people don't get. And she's brilliant and honest.
Very honest.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like when she shows up online, she's like showing up as all of herself, and she's just not gonna not. And even in person, when you see her speak somewhere, or you read her books, it's just like, oh, you just this way all the time, huh? It's very inspiring. Wow. It's a very. It feels like a courageous. I feel like it's not courageous for her because it just is what it is, and she's just like, I'm just gonna do this. I'm not scared. I'm just doing it. But the way it shows up for other people is like it takes a lot of courage to be that unapologetically yours. So we talked about it earlier. Like, how do you be yourself in every room?
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like that's everybody's lifelong journey is learning how to be yourself in every room.
Right.
And I feel like most of us don't do it. But one of the reasons why I love you, because I think you do it all the time.
Oh, I know. I love you.
Inspiration.
You're teaching me so much. Oh, lady, I hear your voice a lot.
It's mutual. I'm happy that you came today. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
It's a very big gift to have you here.
Thank you. I am the one that's blessed. And folks out there, you got to come to Memphis. You got to see this Claiborne Temple. You got to meet Miss Anasa Troutman. Who gives her heart. And
as much as I can.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Really. Thank you. Okay. I love you, Carla.
I love you too.
All right.
Oh my God. Thank you.
All right, right on. How could you listen to that interview and not fall in love with Carla? She is so wonderful. I'm so grateful to have her in my life. I'm so lucky. There's so many amazing women who show up in my life every day and who teach me things and show me things and help me with the things I want to accomplish in my life. And Carla is definitely one of them. Thank you, Carla, for being on the show. So it's time to go. But before we go, we're going to talk about what's next. Okay, listen. We're having a nerd moment. So I feel like most of y'all don't watch Doctor Who because it is like a very old, like a 40-year-old British science fiction show. It's very weird. I'm going to admit it. It took a little while for me to get used to it too, but now I love it. But more importantly, oh wait, I have to tell you something about the plot. So if you don't know Doctor Who, the show, it's about so when you're a nerd and you talk about nerd things to normal people, you're like, I know that sounds real crazy. I know. Anyway, Doctor Who's a Time Lord, okay? Just get used to it. He's a Time Lord, which means that he can travel through time and space and go into different dimensions. But it also means that he never dies. Instead of dying, the character of Doctor Who changes form. So every few years, a brand new actor or actress comes in and plays Doctor Who. There's a moment and he pops out or she pops out in a whole new body. And you're like, this is the new Doctor. And it's a very exciting moment for the people who love Doctor Who. Well, for the first time ever, there's gonna be a Black Doctor. I'm so excited. I can't believe how excited I am about this. This is so epic. And not just any Black Doctor. The Black Doctor is going to be Nkuti Gatwa. What? What? Did you hear that? What? Do y'all know who that is? Okay. Some of y'all don't know who Nkuti Gatwa is. I'm going to tell you because I'm your friend and I love you and I want you to know who he is. So there's this show on Netflix that came out maybe 2-3 years ago. It's called Sex Education. It's set in the UK. It is about a bunch of high school kids. And one of the lead in the show, his mother is a sex therapist. So he decides that he's going to be the sex and love therapist at his high school. Now, his sidekick best friend is played by Nkuti Gatwa. And when I tell you, this young man is a bright light in the universe. He is such an incredible actor, so much energy, so much joy, so much color, so much everything. I love him so much. He's the reason why I kept watching the show. I'm not saying the show's not good. The show's cool, but Nkuti is the reason why I came back over and over again. So Sex Education just wrapped up its final season on Netflix. I think it was 4 seasons. I just watched the whole season over the weekend when I was cleaning out my closets. It was so good. And again, why was it so good? Because Nkuti is the jam. All the other people are cool, but when I tell y'all, he is like one of my favorite people on film right now. He just, something about the way he shows up on camera, his whole energy, his whole vibe is just, he's a vibe. That's the word. He is a vibe. So can you imagine him as the doctor? Oh, wow. So much possibility. It's so exciting. Okay, so we don't have a release date for that because they haven't told us. It's going to be in the first quarter of 2024 and it's going to be on Disney Plus. This is what we do know because we were all freaking out because it's on BBC. Sometimes it's on BBC America. Sometimes it's like they move Doctor Who all the time. You don't know where you're going to be able to see it, but they have sent word that the new season is going to be on Disney Plus. And whenever day it comes out on BBC, it's going to simultaneously appear on your Disney Plus app. We will not be deprived of the juiciness and joy of Nkuti Gatwa as the Doctor. And I couldn't be happier. So just come and be a nerd with me one time. Like some of y'all are like nerd adjacent and some of y'all just won't do it. Just be a nerd and come be science fiction-y with us and watch this man on the TV. Okay. You'll be happier for it. I promise. You'll be happier. Okay. Thank you to The Privilege for allowing us to use their music on this episode and every episode in season 5. Shout out to the Big We family, Big We Foundation, Historic Claiborne Temple, the Weverse Massive. You know we love you so much. We love you. We love you. We love you. Go follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Oh my God, we have a YouTube channel now. Oh my God, I forgot to tell y'all. We got video, baby. We're on YouTube. We have a whole YouTube channel and it's going to be so much content on there. So make sure you follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at The Big We, at Anasa Troutman. And you can text me if you want to talk to me directly. You have questions. You want to send me a book or a film or a poster or you wanted me to watch something and talk about it. Text us 901-676-7372. Send me a message. I'll text you back. It'll be awesome. We'll be in touch. Abundance is your birthright. Don't you forget it. From the House of Abundance, this is Anasa. Big We Podcast. See you next episode.